Hello students, today we're looking at the Common App questions. The Common App is generally used by a lot of college universities nowadays. Essentially, they all use the same prompts as one another to make it a little bit easier for students. Gone are the days where every college has their own individual questions. Instead, they all generally agree to the Common App, so if they accept Common App questions, then it's going to be one of these. They've also used the same questions for roughly the last 4 years, and they have not changed them, and they will not change them for next year, 2020, 2021. They have already announced that they're going to keep them the same. So it's generally 7 questions. So I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to briefly point out what it's actually asking you to do and give you a couple pointers. So the first question that they ask you is that some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So a couple notes here. It might be very tempting to just write about a sport that you're involved in or a hobby that you like, but notice that it says that it's so meaningful. It can't just be something that you write about because you love it, because it solely entertains you. It needs to be something that has meaning to your life in some more profound way. And if you can't come up with a way that it's profound or a way that it defines who you are, then you probably shouldn't write about it. I've seen some students pick this question and write about watching movies or their favorite TV show because it is their interest. But all their essay really said is that they love binge watching stuff on Netflix. It doesn't tell you anything about this person other than they love binge watching Netflix, which is great. I like doing it too. But the problem is, if that's all your essay is about, guess what? You're coming off as a lazy bum in your essay. A lot of times people do write about sports or music, and that's great, but notice thousands of other students are writing about the same exact thing, and it needs to be specific to you. So if you're writing this question and you're picking this one and you're writing that your talent is soccer or your talent is swimming or your talent is playing the flute or playing the guitar or singing, great. But you need to make sure you stand out, because if your essay were to fall on the ground and your name wasn't on it and I picked it up, would I be able to know that it was actually you? Or would I think, it could be anybody that likes playing the guitar? Could be anybody that's good at soccer. Could be anybody that's good at basketball. So it needs to be specific to you. Now notice also they're saying that your application would be incomplete without it. So it's not just talking about something that's a small hobby. It's talking about something huge to your life. So make sure that you pick something that's actually meaningful to you in a very profound way. Something that actually affects your life and has affected it a lot. Not just something that's new to you, but something that's been ongoing. And then you share it with them, because that is what they're trying to find out. They just want to know more information about you. So let's look at question number 2. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? So this is one of the more common ones that I see people respond to, and it's a good one. It really is, but you need to reflect on your life a little bit. What kind of obstacles did you have? Was it something with your friends and your friend group? Was it getting bad grades in school and having to turn it around? Was it in a specific sport? Now again, just like question number 1, you need to make this specific to you. If you write that your obstacle was defeating your opponent in a basketball game and you overly dramatize it, it's going to come off as a little bit lame unless it's actually meaningful and how it affects you. If it really didn't affect you, you're going to come off as kind of being a liar. It can't be something generic. You can't just say, I learned that I have to work hard to win, or that sometimes I just won't always win. If you come off that way, that's not a real life lesson. That doesn't prove that you've really reflected on that event. So you need to be careful when you write about this. It has to be an obstacle that truly was a hindrance to you and you learned something from it. So question number 3, reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? This one I don't see too many students write about, but this is great if you are questioning some type of authority, if you grew up believing one thing, but now you're believing something else. They want to know your line of reasoning. They want to know how you're maturing as an individual. So that's really what I would say for some advice for this one, is when it says reflect on it, they want you to probe into that situation, They want you to probe into what your original belief was and what your belief now is. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be something like religion or politics or a specific political issue. It could be something about your own life. Maybe you grew up believing one thing about yourself and then it turns out it was something completely different. Right? It could go from positive to negative or negative to positive. It's really on how you frame it. Question number 4 is describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma. Anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. Now, this is a tricky one because it is talking about potentially solving a problem in the future. Now, obviously, you won't have too many details on that because it's in the future and you might not be an expert in that field yet. But I would caution you from writing the I want to solve cancer prompt. And I have seen students say that is, I really want to solve cancer, but then they don't know what else to write about that because they don't know enough about it. So maybe all they say is, yeah, cancer's bad. I've had people in my life affected by cancer. Yeah, it has a personal touch to it, but how are you going to talk about the steps you're going to take? It's going to be difficult. Now, if you know enough about it to where you're like, okay, I want to be able to solve the way that people go about researching cancer, and this is kind of what I'm thinking, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is what I know about this issue now, it's showing a few things to the college board admissions officers. It's showing that you are reflecting now on what you currently know about that issue. And then you're also going to think forward over when you're maturing, what else can you do? So it could be a whole bunch of different things, but I do caution you, if you have this grand idea of solving world hunger or curing cancer, that's great. And I want you to go for that. But you have to really reflect and say, are you just choosing that because you think that's what the college officers want to hear? Or are you actually picking it because you are passionate about that issue and actually know about it and have it as a realistic goal for you? So notice that it does say what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. It needs to be somewhat specific. You can't just say, I want to solve cancer, I want to solve world hunger, so what I'm going to do is go to business school, make money, and then start a foundation. Right? It needs to be a little bit more specific. Question number 5, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. So this is a great prompt, but notice that there is 2 prongs to this. It's discussing the accomplishment, event, or realization, and then how it changed the way that you understand yourself or other people. So a lot of times students don't like the college application questions because they feel like they're going to be too prideful if they write about good things about themselves. But no, it's okay to say that you're good at something. It's not okay to boast about it or to lie about it or make it seem better than you actually are. But if you're good at something, you could own that. So I'd say don't worry about being prideful, but instead pick something that's actually meaningful to you, that is something that you accomplished and were proud of, is an event that you took place in, is some type of realization that you had, but you have to focus on the personal growth and show how you were able to grow from it, show how you matured, show how your thinking changed. Notice this is pretty similar to one of the previous questions as well. Question number 6 is describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? So this is a tricky one as well. I've seen students write about their love of art, their love of music, because it makes them lose track of time. That's excellent. Go for it. But again, it needs to be specific to you. You need to write with some type of personal depth to where the college officers know, wow, I've heard people write about how they love music and how music and them playing it makes them lose track of time, but I haven't heard this angle. And it's clear that this student is not just throwing a bunch of baloney at us, but is instead maturely talking about this subject. So again, I would not go the route of watching Netflix makes me lose track of time, because that's playing in the danger zone, or playing a video game makes me lose track of time. It's true, it does, but unless you can really reflect and say how it's making you as an individual grow, then you probably want to stay away from it, because all you're going to be able to write about is how you love this video game and you get to hang out with friends. It's great that you get to do that. It's fun, but is it actually helping you grow? And the last one is what I call the wild card. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So with that question in mind, really what the Common App questions are is write about anything that you want to. It just needs to be personal to you and show some type of growth and reveal who you are as an individual. That's really what they want to know. They don't want to hear about your grades. They don't want to hear about your extracurricular activity per se, because that stuff's already on the application. What they want to hear is who you are as a person and what you have to offer to the university and what you might learn from being at the university. So with this in mind, if you choose number 7, you do need a rationale for why you're writing about what you're writing. And I would caution you against doing one that you've already written, because usually what I see is students take an old essay that they wrote maybe even freshman year or sophomore year, a personal narrative, and they take that and they just submit it without rethinking it, without editing or revising it. And at this point, when you're a junior, senior, trying to apply to college, the thought is that you've grown up a little bit. So your ideas from now to when you were a freshman should be different. So with that in mind, those are the 7 Common App questions that you get to choose from to write your college application essay. So choose wisely. All of these are good essays, but pick one that really pops out to you, right? And if one doesn't pop out to you, then write about something that's just meaningful to you. Write about something that reveals who you are.